Welcome to Midsummer on the Shoot. This is the point where the cover crops are being worked on. They're in, they're growing, there's a few bits to go in, fertilisers to be done and a couple of other things. But we also have our birds arriving. So we are into feeding, checking water, refilling IBC tanks. There's so much going on. It's a lot of repetitive work, but as those birds start to spread out, dogging in will happen and we'll start to see the patterns that they're making and where they're going around the shoot. So a lot's been going on behind the scenes, as you've seen, lots on the cover crops, but today is bird release day.
Watch whilst they get released for a minute, haven't I? Clean them, yeah.
So it's summer on the shoot here. As you can hear, the birds came in today. Chris from Collins Nets has been providing us for the last few years with some fantastic drinkers and feeders. These are the drinkers that Simon has been using out of preference, and Steve, our new gamekeeper, has also been using. What's the recommendation on these?
Yeah, this is Watermaster 2E, probably our most popular drinker. Automatic, comes in a kit of 5 or 10, you know, without a doubt the most popular drinker we sell.
And what's perfect about them is these drinkers are so easy to jet wash when you are at the end of the season, really easy to clean during the season, and it provides a safe drinking source that you can also medicate, rather than relying, some people, you know, old-fashioned way would rely on streams and ditches. They can dry up. I mean, we're in Devon, things don't dry up here, but you want to try and provide the cleanest water source that you can. One of the biggest jobs at this time of year, or preparing for this time of year, is sorting out the pen. Last time we looked at the fact that we were filling in opened up sections of the pen, we were checking gates and any felled trees were being dealt with and repairs were happening. Once all of that's happened, we're then into that period of time where we need to be filling feeders, creating our feed rides, the point at which the birds are pulled into an area and can be checked. Here we've got top hat feeders, also provided by Collins Nets. And they've also brought us some bird puller. Now, what does the bird puller do that your standard feed wouldn't do?
It's a holding spice, so the birds are attracted to the natural herbs that are in the spice mix. And yeah, we've been selling it for a number of years now, and it's the most popular holding block on the.
But it's added to
Yes.
your standard feed.
Yep.
So you're getting all of the minerals,
That's
all of the nutrients and vitamins that's required, but
That's
then
right.
you pop this in and the smell of it can be smelt from so far, and they are particularly attracted to it, which brings them in. And so it holds them really well in a pen. We're in an area in a couple of our pens where they do like to wander. So this is just an invaluable way of keeping them in one place.
Yep.
This is one of the cover crops last year that we had sent into a wild bird mix. This year, this cover crop has gone into maize. You can see we've got an issue with fat hen. Fat hen's been growing up through and the whole thing has now been sprayed. So you'll see the fat hen is wilting and it's dying off. The maize is actually growing quite well here. We've had quite a bit of rain and some good weather. Hopefully it will continue to grow nicely. As we go through the season, this is going to get to the point that it will provide both shelter and feed for the birds. The beaters will be starting at one end and pushing their way through. This cover crop actually begins on the other side of a hedge over there. They come down this way and the flushing point is off of the end with the guns at the bottom down here. We don't actually peg our guns, so that is one of the things that we won't have to do this season. We don't put posts out in the field. A lot of these fields are surrounded by cows. It's just something else to potentially injure them, get knocked over. But it also means, as you can see today, there's very little wind up here, but it can be so windy. This would be a mild day in terms of wind. When it's incredibly windy up here, we may just need to shift that gun line just one peg one way or the other, and without having the physical pegs in place, it allows Simon to place somebody based on what the weather conditions are. We're now on the other side of the hedge, and as you can see, this cover crop is growing like Billy-O. It's looking really nice here. We are mid-June, we've still got some growing to do. We don't want it to grow too early because we want it to last for the season. It will obviously die off and start to wilt as we hit January. Sometimes we've topped off cover crops before. We don't have quite enough woodland here to be doing that, but it is an option for those that have got better woodland space. So last time we talked about different types of mixes. This one has gone into a stewardship mix. The field couldn't be ploughed for various reasons, and so it's just been drilled into stewardship. Other areas of the farm have to go into stewardship mixes due to the fact that they've gone into certain schemes. So this is not that unusual, but hopefully in the future we've got a chance of bringing some maize into here. There's obviously a long way to go on this cover crop, but some of the other ones are a bit further along. Behind me, while we're talking about cover crops, this one has been unfortunately annihilated by cows. They managed to break in through the fencing. There's some fencing just down here that they got through, and they've eaten the tops of all of the maize. So basically we are going to have to re-drill it with a rescue mix. Rescue mix came today. We are now mid-July. Poults are just coming in, but this is going to be re-drilled with a rescue mix. The cover crop on the other side of the valley is still doing quite well, so hopefully this will then take. As you can see, they have eaten the tops off of all of the maize, and this is not such a bad area, but you'll see there's patches in the middle where they've just eaten it completely. So unfortunately this crop is not going to last, and so the rescue mix is due in later. In good news though, this cover crop here is new. It's a triangle shape here. You can see a patch in the middle where the drilling's not quite taken yet, but this is going in as maize. On the other side here, this slightly greenish strip here, that's come out as a cover crop. The issue we were having was the birds were not being directed from one side to the other, and they were coming in at a bit of an angle. So this is hopefully going to square up the drive, because behind me on the other side of this hedge is the cover crop that is the return of the drive. If I spin the camera around in a minute, you'll be able to see down to the pen that we've just popped some birds in, and then up to the next cover crop. So now you can see in front of me, we're looking down to this pen in front. You can see the pen fencing all along there, and that goes off into this wood to the side. And above there, there is the cover crop all drilled and ready to go.